The Portland Trailblazers select Donovan Clingan
There you go.
from the University of Connecticut.
The people love it.
Another white guy?
Another, and not just a white, but a big white.
A big white guy?
Big white.
Oh, he's wearing a tux. I like that.
He's wearing a tux and a bow tie.
I like that.
Look at he's going. Look, he's actually got 2 chains on the outside of the tux.
I can't give him points for that.
No,
How tall is he? 7'2"?
I think he's like 7'1".
This is a terrible pick.
He was. I do believe he was the most outstanding player in the NCAA tournament.
I don't know. I'm just kidding. I know nothing about him. But at 7'2", you kind of like that. I don't like the fact that he's white. A lot of people in here upset at 10 Barrel.
He does not have much of an offensive game. He is a catch a lob, put back guy, but he is a dominant defender in the paint, which is a little weird. That was the need that Portland wanted to address, but that's what we've heard for the last week. Is this is the guy they wanted, that they were willing to move up for him, and they didn't have to go anywhere. So you got your wing, you got your big. At least on paper, I think tonight you can say mission accomplished for the Blazers.
He's long. Here's what Yahoo Sports says about him. Clingan falling to Portland at number 7 would be a dream scenario for the Trailblazers, who are looking to add size and rim protection. The 7'2" center could still be a play at the Hawks at number 1. Wow, but wasn't. If no team makes a move to trade up for him, he falls past Detroit. This would be a massive win for Portland as it rebuilds.
Yeah.
So there you go. So Yahoo likes it too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people did. Well, I mean, in a draft where there was a lot of uncertainty, I do think people thought that he was, to some extent, limited, but a limited certainty. What he is going to bring.
Because defense, big rim protector, defense with length, that always translates. At least you have that. That's what they always said about Zach Collins.
Yes.
But even though he got hurt and it ended up not working out, but he's still in the league.
Yes.
You know.
Well, it's like when Houston went with Reed Sheppard. What did they say? You know, Reed Sheppard can do one thing that's NBA ready right now, and with Clingan, you can put his big ass in the middle, and he is going to be a rim deterrent, period, end of story. And if he ends up developing any sort of offensive game, great. And if not, Scoot throws him lobs. And, it gives you some options besides Ayton, who, at this point, I think a lot of people question whether Ayton's going to be here in a year or two.
Good.
So, there you go.
Will he average more fouls than points?
It may take him a while to adjust. Look, in a league that is increasingly positionless and athletic, he is more of a traditional big under the basket center.
And that's what I don't like. If I'm not going to be critical of this, I have no idea. But doesn't it seem odd that a big, sort of stiff center is the way to go in today's NBA? A lot of those guys are rendered to the bench when it comes big time series and playoffs because they can't move.
Well, this is why I said when we were talking about this a week ago, I'm not an NBA draft guy. I'm not an NBA scout. When about a week to 10 days ago, when we were hearing that Clingan was the guy that Portland was enamored with, it didn't make any sense to me. But it didn't make any sense to me when Clingan, who, by the way, before the NCAA tournament was viewed as a borderline, like he was like in the teens. He was someone that was like 15 to 30. Then he goes to the NCAA tournament, and that was like, oh my God, he can be number 1?
2-time NBA or a college basketball champ.
So I was like, I thought that was very weird. In a league to me that is about being athletic and fleet of foot. He's not Zach Edey plotting, but he's not a ballerina out there.
Yeah.
He's not as athletic as like a Rudy Gobert, but that's kind of what people are saying is he's a Gobert-type guy in the middle. He's super physical. He's not rail thin.
Well, but by the way, Gobert, another guy who at times, it depends on the matchup. And I'm looking way down the road.
He can get exposed.
But yes, he gets exposed, and he has to go to the bench.
Well,
I mean, it's not like you have to be. Well, the example I always use is Hassan Whiteside. We saw him here in Portland.
Yeah.
And, before he became yesterday's news with the Heat because they couldn't play him in certain playoff series because of that. Yeah. And he comes, and now he just wallowed, and he was in Portland, and he was out of the league. Yeah. But that's kind of how I feel about guys like this when push comes to shove in playoff series. Now, obviously, you're a long ways away from that.
Yeah.
So you just, you're just trying to develop talent. But
and maybe with Ayton, if you end up both for a couple years, you do have a guy that's a little more athletic and can move, and someone that when you want to be more physical and you need some rim protection. And by the way, if you're going to have sketchy guard defenders, which right now they do, he's a guy that can erase some problems for you underneath. So, again, to me, I found it strange that people were this high on him, but that's what you heard going into the draft. And again, I think if you're Portland, you identified 2 spots that you needed to address, and you addressed them both. So at least from this is what the organization set out to do, they accomplished it. But to say that either one of these ends up being some sort of long-term fixture here, no one knows. Like, I'm hearing people all the time now, like, oh, A+. You have no idea if it's an A+.
A+.
Other than you said, this is like in the NFL. You needed a left tackle and you needed a wide receiver. And you went out and got a left tackle and a wide receiver. And so you can say that it's an A+ in the draft. Can either one of them play?
They got some better warm bodies.
There you go.
For now. Spurs are next, then the Grizzlies and the Jazz. NBA draft coverage continues. We'll read some of your texts about how the Blazers have done so far today.